Welcome as we continue on this last part of our journey from Pesach to Shavuot, from the first grains to the first fruits, from the liberation from Mitzrayim, from that narrow place, traveling into Midbar, the wilderness, the wide expanse, where we find Sinai and revelation. But as we take these last steps, we still must take each one. So we take some breaths. We ground ourselves in this present moment, in the here and now, as we prepare to count. And so we bless. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign spirit of the universe, who brings us holiness with the mitzvot and connects to us with the counting of the Omer. Hayom, 43 yom, shehem shisha shavuot, v'yom echad ba'omer. Today is the 43rd day, which is 6 weeks and 1 day of the Omer. Chesed Sheba Malchut, a day of loving kindness in a week of majesty. At the Kitchen community in San Francisco, the Kitchen Jewish community in San Francisco, as we enter into Kabbalat Shabbat, Rabbi Noah Kushner invites us all each Friday night to look at the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, each one as a day of the week that we are shedding. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and onward. Going through a psalm, thinking what it was, and letting it go as we enter into Shabbat. That culmination, the day of rest, where we get to ultimately let go before we start our next week. And in this week of majesty, of leadership, what I've also dubbed a week of learning, this place of putting it all together. I want to go over as we hit each day, echo the week that came. Maybe taking those containers of those weeks that we put on our shelves and putting those now into our big container of majesty. Seeing what we've learned as we've gone on this journey. So in that week of Chesed, in that first week, we actually took that as a time to acclimate ourselves, to see what it was, what was the practice, what were the sfirot, what were these intentions. We're starting this journey and we're just beginning to figure out what is the flow going to be. And we look at it in that week of loving kindness as from a place of just being, with no judgment, seeing what it is, seeing what we take in. And now, having experienced the time from that week, but starting from the lens of that week moving forward, and as I drop that week into this container, I'm brought back to another time when I was in that same place of finding something, entering a new journey, looking at what it was going to take, how my steps were going to go, what the path was going to be, how I was going to navigate it. It was 2001, and Makor Or, a Jewish meditation center founded by Rabbi Alan Liu and Zaketzo Norman Fisher, a meditation center that was connected to a synagogue, Congregation Beth Shalom in San Francisco, because part of Rabbi Liu's teaching was to take the meditation and the practices that he had learned in his studies with the Zen Buddhists and marry that and bring it into normative Jewish practice. So there was this practice period that many of us joined. We were a group who made a commitment for 9 months to meditate together, to spend the mornings in meditation and moving that from meditation right into prayer, into morning minyan, to learn together, to be silent together and to study together. And as part of that practice period, we would meet once a month with one of our teachers in a very, I imagine, Buddhist mode. We would go to a room. Our teacher would be there in the cushion. We would sit in the cushion opposite. We would breathe together. And we would be guided. And in one of the first meetings I had with Rabbi Liu, I remember him asking me, "What are your questions?" "I have no questions," I somewhat sadly said. "The questions are there, Marilyn," he said. "They will find you." Some months later, in another meeting, I was able to say to him, "I think my questions have found me." And what were those questions and where did they come from? Because I was in that space of looking without judgment at a practice that was just in the nascent stages, that was beginning for me. And entering into it without judgment, just being. As I spent so many mornings in prayer at Minyan, here were the questions that popped out to me. Ma'anu, ma'anachnu, in the Siddur that we pray from at Beth Shalom. Machayinu, machastenu, matznikenu, ma'yishatenu, ma'kochenu, ma'gavuratenu, ma na'amar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu. What are we? What are our lives? What is our loving kindness? What is our righteousness? What is our salvation? What is our strength? What is our might? What shall we say before you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors. Here it is, part of the normative Jewish practice. This version here from the Koran Siddur with Rabbi Jonathan Sachs' translation. These are at the very beginning of the service. We say blessings to start the day, blessings for the start of the day, blessings that we are here, blessings that we can eat, blessings that we can see, blessings that we take care of people. But soon after this, we move into questioning these questions. And I found these questions as I just looked at them, as I just went with the flow, they popped out. Found them so grounding for me. What are we? What are our lives? And you see the echoes of some of the sefirot. You see loving kindness, and you see strength, might. And who am I? What do I say as I stand in this sacred place, as I stand before a transcendent spirit, where I stand before myself? I still say those questions. I have for 20 years. And yet in these past weeks, in my grief of loss of my kahala, my community, and that sacred space, which represented so much for me, that sacred space formed by the people who were there with me, I stopped saying those questions because I felt lost without my space and without my place. And I lost that spirit. But I realized, having gone through these weeks, being able once again to look with loving kindness, that the questions didn't go away. They can still ground me. I can still make space to say them, to use that to start my day from that place, and work on building up the space and the people around me however I can. And that brings me to one more lesson of this Omer period. Because bringing back that 19-year-old memory is part of the magic of this process and of this ritual and of this practice. Because we don't just move through the days, and we don't just move through the weeks. But as we keep coming through that spiral, the openness that it has within, and because it never joins but keeps those openings going, we can keep dropping in our teachings and hold them through time. Laila Tov. And I'll see you as we take another step tomorrow.